from our executive session. I will need a motion to adjourn from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. Okay. Moving into the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes from the November 15th, 2022 regular city commission meeting. Approval of the minutes from the November 15th, 2022 work session. You want me to go on, Cindy?
No. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a
It's
couple
been-
other things on the consent agenda, though.
Okay.
They're just board appointments.
Well, all right, we can move on then to resolution number R-129-22.
A resolution appointing a member to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I believe you guys all voted on that. Chris? This is a board appointment for the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do you
It's
have
part of the
anything?
consent agenda, so,
It's part of the consent agenda.
Okay.
yes, so we don't.
So we'll move on to resolution number R-133-22.
A resolution appointing a member to the Miami County Community Action Council.
All righty,
Okay, and that's
So-
also on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
correct.
So I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Okay. I will announce that Nicholas Johnston has been appointed to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And we have Taylor Bowser, who is going to serve on the Miami County Community Action Council. Old business, ordinance number O-18-22. This is the second reading.
An ordinance to make appropriations for the city of Piqua, Ohio for the year 2023.
Good evening. We're required to present, as we did last executive session, and have first reading for the 2023 annual budget that needs to be approved by the end of this year. We've answered some questions from commissioners and passed out some validation for questions being involved. So that being said, the second reading will be for the appropriation amount of $113,048,000, including transfers, and $90,735,730 net of transfers. Happy to answer any questions if there are any at this time, or of course, reach out as you have in the past.
Commissioners, are there any concerns or questions regarding the appropriations? Are there any citizens' questions, concerns regarding the appropriations? If not, we'll move on to ordinance number O-19-22, second reading.
An ordinance repealing existing Chapter 33 and enacting a new Chapter 33 of the Piqua Code.
Commissioners, I'm asking that we temporarily table this agenda item.
Okay,
Okay, I make a motion, we table it then?
I'll second it. You want to call the roll?
Commissioner Grissom,
Aye.
Commissioner Hines,
Aye.
Mayor Pearson,
Aye.
Commissioner Vetter.
Aye.
Okay. Ordinance number O-20-22, second reading.
An ordinance repealing Schedule A of the Chapter 33 of the Piqua Code and adopting a new Schedule A, Chapter 33 of the Piqua Code relating to wages of certain municipal employees.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is our second reading for Schedule A. The schedule covers our salaries for full-time, non-union employees. A 3% cost of living adjustment has been applied to the table for 2023. and wages for certain classifications will be adjusted in an effort to support organizational efficiencies.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns regarding?
Yes, I have a few questions. Looking at the chart that we have here, it's a little different than what we have seen previously with
Right.
job classification, the names and things. And so, can you talk a little bit about
Yeah.
kind of where we are?
Sure, absolutely. It is a change from what has historically been read into the ordinance. In years past, I know that you know, but just for the benefit of the public, in years past, it has been a specific title listing for all position titles in the organization. So what you have before you is a consolidation into employment categories. So each title will still exist in a companion document in the Human Resources Division, which will be available to you all in a couple of ways. One would be on the intranet as our guiding tool, so that when we're hiring a specific title, you all have approved the employment category, the employment classification, if you will, is the difference. You've seen titles in the past. This is a classification employment group listing. Those titles, the FTEs, the funded amounts for those positions will still be at your discretion when you're approving the budgets, when you're approving the personnel budgets at the end of the year in preparation for the upcoming year. So all of those titles will still exist. But what's before you is a simplified, efficient, we believe it's an attempt to be a more efficient document that you'll see similarly used in other municipals, local governments at the state level. It's not an uncommon grouping for a schedule.
Okay,
So we've just adopted what we believe is a best practice for us, for administration and for the commission.
And so if anybody has any question as to what jobs fall under what levels and different things like that, they are able to get that.
Oh, yeah, those specific titles are still in play.
And still in place. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Excuse me, I have one, just with ordinance 19. Does that have any effect with that being tabled on 20 or 21? I just want to make sure I'm trying to understand that correctly. I know the ordinance 20 is more specific to Schedule A, but.
No, they're separate and apart from one another. So I'm still bringing forward A and A1 this evening for our second reading. The Chapter 33, I've asked the commission to table because we're currently in negotiations with all 5 bargaining units. I anticipated that we'd be a bit further along than we are with them, and that all of this would kind of be bottlenecking at the same time. So I don't want to get ahead of where we are in negotiations with the Chapter 33 amendment. So I'm pulling back on that so I can adjust the timing to be more in line with the bargaining unit.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Other comments, questions? Citizens' questions or comments?
Good evening.
Debbie Stein, 1810 Carroll Drive. So I have a couple of questions. One, I would ask that I could get a copy of all the titles that are associated with those pay grades. And for commission, I really don't understand what the big inconvenience of putting those different job titles. If you looked over last year's Schedule A, it lists like pay grade 8 and the job titles that fell under that, pay grade 9. So this, to me, is a transparency issue once again. And we keep coming up here and we talk about transparency, being open, put the job titles, what's so difficult about doing that? And what other municipalities locally are doing what you're asking or saying, Catherine?
If you look at City of Sydney, that's one that I just know right off the top of my head, Debbie. City of Sydney uses something that's actually a bit more generic even than what we've presented to this commission
But
for Schedule
what,
A.
what is the issue of putting the job titles? Because in my thinking, so say, Casey, you're working in the health department, it doesn't exist, but we're just giving an example. And you're at the end of your pay grade, you're at level 6 in yours. And somebody, department head might go to HR and discuss and say, we think they, without having these job titles in here, that we should just move them. They're at an 8, but let's move them into 12. How are employees going to say, okay, we know what our title is and our pay grade is, and we can monitor it that way, and not having anything, to me, it's not ethical and it's not being transparent. And in looking over your Schedule A, there's some things I don't understand. So the 3% I get, but you get in the middle of your hourly, and it doesn't hour out to 1.03. It hours out to 1.05, which is 5%. So how is that?
I don't know which section you're referring to. I can't.
So, do you have your schedule?
I do. Yeah.
So, can I come over and show you, or? Okay.
Sure.
So if you go over, like, say, take this, and you calculate it out,
This way?
yeah, it's 1.05, not 1.03.
Correct.
Okay. so
Yeah, that's the way it is
5%,
currently.
not-
There's always
that's
been
it.
5% in between each step. And then the tables themselves are adjusted by 3% for the entire table is then adjusted by 3%.
So why
for the
is it
cost.
5%?
That's always been the case, Debbie. Like, yeah, it's a step.
Well-
It's a step 1 to 2.
If you look at that, that doesn't look kosher. I'm just saying that, it doesn't. For any citizens looking at that, they're going to say, as I did, that's not 3%. That's calculated out 1.5% or 1.05%. If you take last year's Schedule A and you take the last pay grade and you tack on 3%, you tack on 3%, it equals out, but it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right, it doesn't look right. So here we are again. It looks like you're given a 5% increase. We've got citizens that are asked to dig deeper into their pockets. Increase in electricity, increase in water, increase in stormwater, increase in refuse, increase in, which we just did for permitting. The permitting fees have gone up. And then we see this as citizens and we're like, 3% is certainly understandable, but I don't understand that, and it's saying it's always been that way. I don't know that I've ever seen that. So again, I'm speaking on being transparent.
I appreciate that.
I think that as citizens and as employees, that those job titles should be out with those pay grades. What is the difficulty in doing that? And it makes it so the employees feel comfortable as well. I don't think employees would feel comfortable not seeing what their title is and what their pay grade is. They may know because Catherine's telling them, but I think we should know as well as citizens.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to sit here and do, you know, all these comparables, but there are things that citizens are very concerned about. They're talking about it. They're talking about why aren't our streets being done? We had a street renewal levy, and this will next year be going on 3 years, and I know our city manager has said, well, we're going to double up next year because we have to do underground utility work, which I'm not seeing a ton of that happening in preparation for all this resurfacing. again, it's taxpayers' money. There's agreements being made to resurface, run infrastructure here, there, and all this stuff that has been going on now for months, and no, I'm not going to say this is any cause as you as commissioners, but the transparency issue is absolutely huge.
We agree with you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your comments. This is
Is my time up?
appreciated. It is.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Okay, well, I do thank you, and I hope that you do take this into consideration, because we will be watching and hoping that you do put the titles in with the pay ranges.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mrs. Bogan, Miss Catherine, just to understand, so that 5% was the 5% between the steps, right? That
Right.
was, which has always,
Always
Right, so
been.
when we briefed in executive session before the first reading, I had given you the copy of the current so that you
Right.
could, see that comparison. But, so each title has always had its title and a pay level associated with it, which, as Debbie has indicated, it would be like an 8 or a 9. Human Resources General is set an 11, and then it's a pay level 11. And then you would see across the board, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the way it's always been published, right? Title, steps. And between each step, just so that everyone understands, including Ms. Stein, those steps have always had the 5% in between each step. The entire table is adjusted for cost of living at 3%. So 11, a pay level 11, would the entry step 1 would be increased by 3%. And then as you move across, it's a 5% differential between each step. So I do understand that that could be confusing, but there is no intent to veil the true cost of living increase. It is a 3%, and then there's the 5% between each step.
yeah, thank you for explaining that. And I think if, as you said, if people want that information, they can get it.
Yeah,
for
and
them.
it will always, and Debbie's absolutely right, the employees would have the right to know that, as would you, and as would, the public, and that's always going to be, I can certainly answer her public record request and provide a copy of that to her, and certainly the employees are always going to know what their current employment status is with job title, job description, their pay level. They get a terms and conditions letter from us, and anytime they have an employment status change, they get that information again.
So then can I ask, what would be the process if one of those titles were to change that number, that level?
The level, it would
Yeah.
require your approval.
Okay, so no matter what, that would still, so that some,
Right.
like,
Yes.
city manager can't just decide to change that at any
Right.
point in
Correct.
time? Okay.
I would
So
like
it
to
still
follow
have
up
to
just
come-
with the issue of transparency. When you look at the federal government, the GSA, they're structured much in the same way, where you have pay grades, excuse me, that are unaffiliated with the actual job description. And in the terms of the separation between the financial side of wages and then the correlating job description. If you look at the Department of Administrative Services at the state, very same thing. I went through that system as well. All those documents are available to the public. What it really does is it allows changes within the pay band. So when you go to recruit somebody or you promote somebody within, you have a pay band to work in instead of being caught with these steps that are very regimented through the way the ordinance was written. And so what it does is when we go out to recruit talent, a lot of times it didn't fit neatly into where that was. What you'll find is the city of Kettering, Centerville, city of Dublin, all have experienced this same thing when it's come to either recruitment or retention. So we're just adopting a system that is not antiquated compared to the system that we currently have, and we move into the 21st century.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or concerns? Ordinance number O-21-22, second reading.
An ordinance repealing Schedule A1 of Chapter 33 of the Piqua Code and adopting a new Schedule A1 of Chapter 33 of the Piqua Code relating to wages of certain municipal employees.
Thank you. Schedule A1 pertains to our part-time, seasonal, and temporary employees. The wages on this table have been adjusted in accordance with the state minimum wage requirements, and we've also applied a cost of living adjustment to these positions as well, 3%.
Are there any questions, concerns regarding this ordinance? Are there any citizens' questions or concerns?
Debbie Stein, 1810 Carroll Drive. I will say that that schedule does reflect the 3%. It's completely accurate in comparison to last year. It's just the A schedule, how it appears, and that little vague ability to put people in different categories or whatever fits. I mean, that's real defined there with Schedule A1, but A is very, in my interpretation with what's happening, it's very flimsy. So, and I'll keep talking about transparency
Okay.
if I have to. I mean, I'll just over and over. So I think it's important. And I think that you all agree that transparency is important. A1 has all the titles. You'll see that. A1 has all the titles. So it's just leaving A open for moving somebody somewhere else or in a pay grade. And I know you can say, well, it's got to come back to commission, but we know how some things will work or how it'll appear. And I don't see the harm in putting those titles, whether there's 5 associated with pay grade 8, 2 associated with 9, just put them on there. So everybody knows, and everybody knows, we don't need to know their name, who the person is working with that title. There could be 10 people in that title. Just put the title with the pay grade, like you did in Schedule A1. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm just going to make a quick comment on the transparency again. I appreciate when people bring things like that to our attention, just for the fact that something may appear as transparent for us, but may not for others. So keep bringing up if you have a concern on something that you don't think is transparent. I don't think there's any harm with that. I hope you'll continue to bring those to our attention.
Okay. Resolution number R-124-22, tabled.
A resolution repealing Resolution Number R-99-22 and amending the grant allocation for the Piqua Small Business Grant Program.
Okay.
Good evening, Commission. This item will repeal and replace the previous resolution authorizing the Small Business Grant Program to effectively increase the funding allocation for the program from the original $350,000 to $500,000. The additional funds will be allocated from the general funds, which are made available as a result of the acceptance of the monies received from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. By allocating those funds for grant assistance to our small business community and previously establishing our economic development revolving loan fund using those same monies, and by making strategic public infrastructure investments that directly support local commerce, we will be able to achieve the City Commission's objective of using the one-time funding source to make a positive impact on our community for all. Specific to the Small Business Grant Program, it is designed to encourage activities that sustain existing businesses, support the creation of new businesses, and promote the vibrancy and visual appeal of downtown Piqua and the surrounding neighborhoods. Of course, we are very excited to be able to offer this program to the community, and we look forward to the positive effect it's going to have on our small business community. Happy to address any questions.
I'm thinking first we need to move this off the table, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I would make a motion to move resolution number R-125-22 off the table.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are we doing R-124-22?
Yes.
Removed from the table?
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead, I apologize. My
Okay,
numbers are
Missed
flying
it.
at my, yeah.
okay, so it's been moved and seconded to untable R-124-22. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number R-125-
Excuse me,
We're
we
still on
need
124.
to take action on
Sorry,
that
we
now,
have
I'm
to
sorry.
Action on it.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution R-?
Real first, I just want to make comment. I requested this be tabled at our last session. I had a few questions. I just want to thank Mr. Smeezing for, he met with me. I spoke with a couple of the participants within the program as well, too. And all my questions were answered. I think it's going to be a good, effective program for our downtown as well as our community. And I just appreciate those that took the time to help address some of those for myself.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
and I also want to say, and we mentioned this last time, I mean, the fact that we're giving out $500,000 to small businesses is huge. It is huge, and it lets our small businesses know that we appreciate them, we are behind them, and want to support them. And I think will also be a great sign to bring other small businesses to our community. So
I do too.
I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that we're able to do, so.
I just appreciate us tabling it for that time frame, just so we could, with the monies, make sure that we're doing things and appropriate and make sure that they're allocated as such, and that it's going to be for what we intended it to. And all my questions, like I said, were answered, and it's not that we had concerns prior, it's just wanting to make sure we cross our Ts and dots our Is.
Thank you for that.
Just for clarity's sake, I think we're talking about repealing the resolution and amending the program. So the resolution, R-124-22, that's what we're really talking about doing.
It is, yeah, I
Yes.
got my numbers mixed up on
Right,
that.
Right. And there was a motion, and it,
Do we
Motion.
need to redo that? Are you still in favor?
No, we've untabled it, so at this point, it's comment, and so then we can make a motion if we
motion,
want to.
is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number R-124-22.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. Right, resolution number R-125-22.
A resolution awarding grants for this Piqua Small Business Grant Program.
This
It's tabled.
resolution was tabled.
I make a motion, we untable resolution number R-125-22.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's been untabled. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number R-125-22?
So moved.
We got to ask for comments? Did I miss that?
Are there any comments regarding this resolution?
Here comes one.
Good evening, Commissioners. Lorna Swisher with Main Street Piqua. Just wanted to echo what Commissioner Hines was saying. It is absolutely fantastic that these funds are going directly to businesses not only located in the downtown, but elsewhere in the community as well. We are going to see a couple of new storefronts open next year, and these funds are going a long way in helping those, as well as some of our existing businesses that are making both exterior and interior improvements to their buildings. So thank you. Thank you very much for doing this for our business community.
Welcome.
Melanie Walker. I live at 526 Wayne Street, but we do have a business downtown, and I just want to thank you so much, because if you drive by Elite, et cetera, you will see our new awning that got installed today. And our other building will have new windows installed on the 16th or 17th. So, and I know that the one renter upstairs will greatly appreciate this because his window is swaying back and forth. So I do appreciate this, and I know several of the other businesses, I've seen what they've got planned too. So thank you so much.
Melanie, I want to say thank you for loving Piqua as much as you do. You guys moved here how many years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, and you really have embraced this community, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. All right. I move to adopt resolution number R-125-22.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Moving to new business, resolution number R-130-22.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Miami Valley Risk Management Association for the purchase of insurance.
Commissioners, this is our annual resolution to bring forth before you to continue our participation in the liability and property insurance risk management pool, which provides coverage for our city.
I'm kind of curious just about how many firms offer this kind of insurance and
It's something that's very unique to municipal government, and so there's a couple different plans out there, or pools, I should say, but it's quite common for municipal entities to enter into a risk management pool. There are, I believe, 28 of us in Maverma. Yeah, and we kind of run the gamut on size, and like Beaver Creek is in our pool, for example, but then there's smaller cities like ourselves as well. Sydney's in the pool. Some of our neighbors are in it with us as well.
I can't imagine that there's a whole plethora of firms wanting to offer that service.
Right.
It seems kind of limited to me.
Right, no pun intended, but it's a risky business. Sorry.
Couldn't resist.
I had one question. So the expenditure looks like it's about 50,000 more than what was budgeted. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did check with our finance team because, so they give us a projection in September when we're all preparing the budget. I have an allocation that's a projection, and then as we move into December, the pool can provide our actual number. So I did check with finance to make sure that what we have appropriated here is what they have budgeted, and I got assurance from our finance manager that we're good.
Okay. There's no difference in coverage level that made that cost difference? It was just,
No, I will say that
Expected versus actual.
we did experience a high loss year. Our loss ratio was a bit high. We were one of the higher in the whole pool, so I think that nudged us up a little bit. I know it nudged us up a little bit. We had a loss ratio upwards of 85%.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from commissioners? Citizen comments? Okay. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'd move the adoption of Resolution R-130-22.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution adopted. Resolution number R-131-22.
A resolution authorizing the city's purchasing department to advertise for bids to make certain purchases during the 2023 year.
Good evening. I'm here to present on behalf of the purchasing department. This is another yearly resolution that gets brought in front of commission. We're required to advertise for bids for any capital or operational purchases the city makes that are over $25,000 in newspaper and local circulations. Therefore, we use the Miami Valley Today for this purpose. Exhibit A in this resolution is a list of items that are compiled from the 2023 budget book. We're asking for commission's approval for the city's purchasing department to be authorized to fulfill this commitment going forward.
Are there any comments or questions from commission?
Just for clarity, how else do we advertise besides just Miami Valley Today?
Currently, I believe Miami Valley Today is the biggest one used, but I do know that there are radio ads. We also have if I can remember correctly, Janelle's been on vacation, there is a interweb site, if you will, that allows us to post things out there for other vendors to see anything that we list as a bidded out process goes on that site, and then it can be tracked who applies, who submits RFQs and RFPs, so that it can be very easily tracked in an ongoing process. So that is also available. It's just not something that we need to establish to do the advertisements. This is more of just, we got to put it in the newspaper and make it known to the public.
Yeah, I know it's kind of tied in locally, and some of these are very specific, to an industry. Just think when we were talking about, small businesses and local, we're always encouraging local so making sure that our local businesses know how to bid on these types of projects and what might be coming for 2023.
Absolutely. And I know purchasing does a very thorough job in terms of working with the development team as well in regards to pulling in those businesses, whether it's letters to those businesses, getting that information out there. So they bring everybody to the table before the bids even go out to make sure everybody's aware so we can get the best local businesses possible.
Good, thank you.
And I was going to say, I know in the past that has been one of the things that we've talked about is reaching out to those local businesses, and I know the different department heads have done that. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding this resolution? Citizen comments? Okay, hearing none. I move that we adopt resolution number R-131-22.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution number R-132-22.
A resolution accepting annexation of 1.246 acres of land from Spring Creek Township to the city of Piqua.
Commissioners, you'll recall earlier this year, you were asked to authorize an annexation agreement for the property owner of the subject location, by which, in exchange for being allowed to hook in utilities for the new home they're constructing on Looney Road, they agreed to initiate the annexation process. This item is the result of that effort. They have followed up and fulfilled their obligation, having filed the proper annexation petition that went through the Miami County Board of Commission. It was journalized and then presented to the City Commission. After the 60-day required wait period, is now being presented to the City Commission for final acceptance. So again, this is the final step of the annexation process for the owner to fulfill their obligation to annex their new home into the city of Piqua.
All right. Are there any comments or questions from commissioners? Okay. Any citizen comments or questions? All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-132-22.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. It's now time for public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the City Commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. Comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes, and specific questions should be addressed to the city manager's office. The city manager's office will respond at the following meeting during the city manager's report. Public comment.
Good evening, Commissioners. Lorna Swisher with Main Street Piqua. I was here a month ago to thank the city for the support that we received for the horse parade, and I'm back to say thank you for the support we received for Christmas on the Green and the parade this past Saturday. We got a little damp on Friday night, but Saturday was awesome. Mayor Pearson also was back in the trenches helping us get that parade down Main Street. So it really was a very fun weekend, and I cannot thank the city enough for their support. I also want to just express my appreciation to the city for, at the last meeting, we talked about a Christmas tree downtown, and if you go downtown now, we have a Christmas tree. So appreciate working with Amy Welker on that, and I want to give kudos to Marcus and John in the Parks Department who really did most of the work on that, and just thank you. Thank you for caring and for making that happen for our community. I really want to appreciate that. I also wanted to share with you, if you have not been on the Main Street Piqua website lately, we have launched an interactive downtown map. So if you go onto the website, there is an icon on the homepage, and you can go on there and click on any one of 9 different business categories, and all of the businesses that are located in the downtown area that are in each of those categories pop up. So whether it's shopping or retail or professional services or personal services or whatever the case may be, you'll be able to see a listing of all of the businesses that meet that criteria in our downtown. And it's a neat way of showcasing all of the businesses that we have in our community. And also there are a number of businesses downtown that have a QR code on their doors, and you can just scan the QR code. It will take you directly to that interactive map. It's just another way of us being able to feature our downtown businesses.
That's right, neat.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's
Is that
great.
something that we can advertise or put on our website, or is that a no-go?
Yeah, we can look into that.
Okay, thanks. Just to
Thank
be able to get it out more, I think that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lorna.
Thank you.
Tom Hudson, 608 North Downing Street, Piqua. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening.
I think you guys all need a pay raise, and I'm not kidding. I go back to the mid-90s, I believe, and when Joe Wilson was on the commission, and they were making $30 and $40 a month. And it was absurd at that time. And is our budget about $50-60 million?
All in the budget with transfers was what, 110 million? But that's enterprise funds as well, so it wouldn't apply to the commission.
Okay, I was always under the impression we were $50-60 million roughly.
No, it's 90 million.
97 net of transfers.
Thank you.
Well, it's been 15 years since I've been on, so that explains that. But anyhow, we went to the public, they went to the public and they did a $300 to $400. You guys make $300 and $400 a month for mayor, correct? Is that the correct pay right now?
Depends on taxes.
I'm not talking about, this gross
Yeah.
pay is at $300 and $400 a month. I want you to think
that.
about how silly that sounds with a $100 million budget. You're not in this for the money, I get that. You all have servants' hearts. But the reality is, you guys need to be making $1,000 a month minimum, and the mayor should be making $15,000 a month. And now think about this. I know you're laughing, but no one wants to vote that. No one, $15,000 a year, $12,000 a year. No one wants to vote themselves a raise. It doesn't look good, doesn't sound good, but I think you ought to be compensated accordingly. I think also it's been an issue as long, and I have no interest in ever running for office again, but I think if we want to attract lots of people, I think there should be 4 or 5 people running for each of your commissioner jobs. Make it worth their while to have a super nice vacation, $1,000 a month, $15,000 a month or a year would do that. And I would strongly consider that you guys think hard about this. And if you don't want to vote yourself a raise, grandfather yourself in, do not get paid, pay it forward for the next person. I really believe this would attract more people to really get involved with their city. So I just wanted to say that. The second thing I wanted to
Can
talk
I say
about.
something on that?
Yes, sir.
Regarding raises, if they vote for a raise for themselves, they cannot get it until the next election. So they can't vote themselves a raise, they would have to be elected to that position.
That's good, and that helps clarify. I appreciate that, Frank. Also, another thing on the hydraulic business that's coming up, and you guys have had meetings about it, and Jeff Lang gave me a quick synopsis that he's been meeting with you guys and really educating you. And we had a meeting a month or two ago with some state officials, is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct, yes.
I heard that you and Chris really did a nice job of really bolstering our reasons for not a 30-year or a 30-inch rain. And I think it's time for the city of Piqua to go on offense. And I mean offense in a big way. Jeff is putting together the parameters for overwhelming the state of the Department of Natural Resources for this crazy rain that's never going to happen. We cannot go out and spend $100 million or 150. We do not want to drain Frantz Pond. We do not want to drain Echo Lake. These are not even viable options. And so I think it's time to either get the governor, our senators, our congressman, who I think we have had a change recently. But we really need to go on offense on this and not take this sitting down and go above and beyond the ODNR person who's trying to dictate all these edicts toward us. So I just really want you guys to think about this, go on offense, really start employing the resources necessary and the personnel necessary to get this accomplished, because this is a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to make you aware, I know we have another meeting coming up here soon, and I
It is.
know there's next Monday.
It's next Monday, isn't it?
Yes, the CAC Monday's next Monday, I believe.
Any other comments? City managers report.
Sure. I had 2 items this evening, Mayor and Commissioners. First being the leaf collection, just a quick update. They're scheduled through the middle of December, so please remember, get your leaves out, make sure your cars aren't in the way, keep the leaves a foot from the curb, and please, by all means, do not blend sticks in with your leaves. It destroys the equipment and slows down production for the guys. And lastly, Smart Hub went online December 5th, which was yesterday. I'd like to thank UBO, in particular RJ, our IT department, Dean, Ben, for doing a wonderful job getting that implemented. Our finance department did testing. Thank you, Jennifer, and your team for doing that over the weekend, along with UBO. They were in here, I think, on Sunday for most of the day doing testing, and it launched on Monday with just a few hiccups that they've worked out. But I would ask residents, if they don't want to get online and go ahead and register, just come into the office and they'll be helped in the UBO office. There's a computer also out there where they can get on if they don't have a computer at home to register.
Great.
That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to commissioners' comments. Commissioner Casey.
The only comment I have is drive around and look at the Christmas lights. As always, our community is beautifully lit up and beautiful lights, and it seems like we're seeing more and more. And of course, you got to go down Riverside if you haven't, because that is a must at Christmas. So just thanks to all of our citizens who are beautifying their homes for us to see, not only during the day, but at night as well. I really have nothing else to say, so thank you.
Thank you. Ford Drive is beautiful too, if you haven't
Yes,
been
Ford
to.
Drive is, yes.
Ford Drive. Commissioner Grissom.
Thanks. I've had multiple people text me about that. They're like, did you know about this on 66? Like, yeah, I live like 3 blocks from there.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, I drive past it every day. It's amazing.
You see the lights from your house.
Yep, I absolutely can. It's a nice little glow. They do an amazing job. Okay, so a few things. Smart Hub, I do want to say thank you to RJ Monier. Done a fantastic job. I knew it went live Monday. I hopped on immediately just to check it out, see how it's going, because I was real excited about it. I have multiple accounts and signed up. I was worried would I have to have multiple logins. Now it's all very fluid from what I can see. I set up auto pay. The one thing it did say was, you know, you got to watch your cycle. It may not apply on that first cycle, so that was one of the things that may be a concern for people just during that initiation. I did ask about, you know, sometimes credit card fees are associated, because I think before I had to use a checking account. This one I could set up a credit card. No credit card fees, but the question was if you do cash payments at like certain providers, there's a fee associated, right?
I believe $1.25.
Yeah, I was going to kind of jump on to Paul's comments. So there's a multitude of ways, right? And of course, being week 1, go live, I don't know that I would even suggest for most people to go out and bog down the system to sign up online, but please take the time to do so. There's also payments accepted at your local Walgreens. You're going to be able to pay your bill at many other stores instead of maybe making a special trip here into the office. You can do it while you're out running your errands, and that'll bog down lines downstairs. That'll help more efficiency. The drop boxes at night, the scanners RJ got a pretty impressive scanner that scans and applies your payment before it even comes to the finance department. So we're really looking forward to streamlining this entire process, but there's no large fees. I think $1.25 is the biggest one, and that's more so when you're paying at another retail store.
It's understandable. Thanks. And I didn't really see so far usage or anything, but it just went live. I didn't know if it would pull in previous or not. I didn't see that immediately, but
Usage is one of the kinks that we were just on a phone call about today. The way that NISC currently has it is they list it in units, which isn't broke down per se in gallons or watts for electricity, things of that nature. Very well aware of it. Everybody that's involved is working to get that issue resolved as quickly as possible so it shows up on your bills.
okay. Yeah, I'm excited for you. You guys do an amazing job. Thank you. Christmas on the Green, thank you for doing that. I know it got a little bit rainy, but it was still a wonderful event. And also the parade, I was right in front representing Wilson Health. Behind us was the Grinch. Everybody loved the Grinch, including my team, so that was fantastic. Really good show. And then just to speak to Mr. Hudson with the salary, I do think that was something that I've been kind of trying to look into and mention, because I think out of the past like 5 or 6 elections, we've run unopposed, and I completely agree. I mean, one of my purposes is I wanted to try to get more people involved, and how do you do that? And for that type of position, how can you encourage people in that level? And whether it's on the city commission or volunteering, I know working with Main Street, and you can always use volunteers. How do you get more people involved, especially some of the younger ones? I know life's busy and families and such too, but it's definitely, being a part of a community, you have to be involved in that community if you want to make positive. So I appreciate those comments. Thanks. That's it.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner.
All right. The first thing I want to acknowledge is that I and several other people are in receipt of a letter from Chuck Peltier, who is involved with the Piqua Neighborhood Improvement Corporation, and is also a member of the Southwest Neighborhood Association, and he's concerned about the care and maintenance of the boulevard that leads into Candlewood. And so I know he's been concerned. I've heard his concerns verbally, but I wanted to acknowledge the receipt of the letter. Most of us got that. So there are some issues that obviously need to be addressed, and so we need to take some care to do that, and hopefully we'll have some feedback on that. The other thing that I do at most of the meetings is I try to bring greetings from the Piqua Neighborhood Improvement Association Incorporated, and this comment is about your pets, and it's about taking care of your pets. I'm old enough to remember when we had packs of dogs that used to roam the city. We're not seeing so much of that, but I'm here to tell you we have a problem with feral cats. And if you need an experience with that, schedule a time to come to my house. And we've already had 5 cats killed on the street in my neighborhood, and more to come. So I have a concern for taking care of pets, and I understand that people like to feed them outside and all those kind of things, but they run across the street from one feeding site to another, and that's not the proper way to take care of pet population. So a concern for making your neighborhood a better place to live. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, if you're thinking about the new year, I would like to have you think about becoming a volunteer. As Chris was alluding to, we need volunteers in our community. I can guide you to a bunch of places. Bethany Center would be one. The food banks around town need people to come in and help distribute food. You could also maybe think about going into the parks to pick up trash. Also, help with our Neighbors Helping Neighbors group. And there are also a multitude of activities on Main Street, and I'm sure Lorna would appreciate your help. Meals on Wheels is looking for help as well. I do believe that that's a paid position. So think about it this next year, and when I look around, I feel like the younger generation needs to start stepping up and becoming involved in our community. You know, this community is only as good as we can make it. So think about it in the coming year. Thank you. That's all I had. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.